Good afternoon.
Hello, ma'am. Very good afternoon.
I would like to formally welcome you here.
Thank you, ma'am.
First thing, I would like to introduce Mr. Pankaj Goyal to all the student audience we have here. Pankaj Goyal is our very dear student, alumni of USMS. He has been one of the brilliant students during his tenure of MBA in 2016 and 18 batch. He completed his MBA Financial Markets course from USMS only. So he's your alumni. He has such rich knowledge being a alumni to share with you that you can always get in touch with him and get benefited from him in different ways. Uh, right now, he's working as business analyst in Evalueserve, and and he's doing really well in his job profile. Apart from that, what I have realized is that being creative is very important, and he's one of a person who's highly creative. So, and he was always self motivated to learn various things and to try out various things. So even before the teacher was teaching maybe these Excel modeling in the class, he had his hands on with it, and he was working with it very efficiently. And that's how maybe his interest developed into this. And with the kind of job profile he's working with, he has a command over the subject now. So we found and we thought that we cannot have anybody else for taking up this workshop on Excel essentials for required in the corporate sector. So that's why we invited him, we requested him, and he happily agreed to come over and share his knowledge with everybody today. And I wish you very best of luck for all future endeavors, Pankaj. And it's really nice from from all the faculty members of USMS and from our financial research group. We welcome you today. And we are really thankful that you have come here to share your knowledge, because when somebody who belongs to USMS, they talk, it makes a lot of difference. And you have first-hand exposure of what does corporate require from today's generation of executives and business managers. So over to you, Pankaj, and happy learning to all the participants today. And I hope you will have an enriching experience and good learning session. And if required, we'll have many more sessions of Mr. Pankaj Goyal for on this topic, because he's already taking a lot of workshops at his own independent level. Uh, so over to you, Pankaj, and thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming today.
First of all, thank you so much, ma'am, for your kind words. Now, hi everyone. Am I audible?
No.
Yes, sir, you
Yes.
are
Yes,
audible.
you are.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Okay. Good.
are. Hmm.
So, as Divya ma'am told, I have been working at Evalueserve since June 2019, and there I have worked under various profiles. Currently, I am working in investment banking division as a business analyst. Uh, Coming to my daily routine, like I can tell you, 80% of my daily task is based on Microsoft Excel only. So it would be a very nice exposure for all of you to have some hand-on practice on these topics. So not wasting much time, let's start on the topic. So this is the table of content which I shared with you guys yesterday. So first we'll be going through some basic functions, which will give you familiarity with what Excel is, how we can command the Excel and all. Then moving to some advanced topic, we will be covering text to column, some logical functions, reference functions, pivot tables, and some professional charts. So now beginning with first of our topic, that is basic function. Here I have some data. The column B has some product name, pen, pencil, eraser, marker. You can see that some of the names must be repeating, like scissors, like erasers is here and erasers is here. We have some unit price of the quantity. and we need to pick the total price against the quantity which we'll be mentioning here. Now let us put some random quantities here. One of the ways to put some quantities would be to enter any number manually, but this is going to take a lot of time. So instead of putting numbers manually, what I can do, I can use a formula which is equal to rand between. So rand between is a formula which returns a random number between the numbers we specify. Now in order to start this formula, I can do two things. One, I can just double click on the rand between like this and my formula would be started. Other thing would be just go to this function and press tab key. Tab key on your keyboard, that would also start the function. Now I need to enter two things in the formula syntax. The first is bottom and the top. The other syntax is top. Whatever I enter between bottom and top, the numbers between these two values would be fetched here. So suppose I enter 10 in the bottom and 80 in the top. So I can see that I have got a random number between 10 to 80. Now in order to fill all the cells, what I can do, I need to just quickly double click at the bottom of the cell like this. So this is basically a very good shortcut to fill all the cells in a range. Now we need to pick up the total. Total would be the multiplication of these two values. That is unit price multiply quantity. Now you can notice that whenever I pick a formula, these quantities are going to be changed because random between is a dynamic formula. Each time I press enter, these values are going to change. So in order to fix this thing, what I can do, I can just paste the values, paste this range as value. I'll just select the range, press Ctrl C to copy. In Home tab, I have option of paste. Under paste, I'll go to paste special. Now paste special opens a pop-up window. Now under paste, I have one option which is values. What this option would do, it would remove the formula and keep the values only. The values which I'm seeing on the face of the sheet would be there only now. So now I can see that there's no formula, only the numeric values are present. So in this way, you can copy paste any data to random to values only. Now coming to our first function, which is very basic function of sum. What I actually need to do is to sum up the total of all the products. So I'll just start with the formula. Whenever I use any formula in Excel, I'll have to start with the equal to sign. So I'll press equal to sum. We have this function for sum, which would sum up all the quantities in the selection I make. Now this formula asks for various number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. What I can do, insert number 1 like this, comma, this is number 2, comma, this is number 3, and so on. This is a very usual way of doing the thing, but it can take us a lot of time since there are large values. So what I can do, I can just simply click on the first value I want to select and drag it down to the last value. In this way, I can select the whole range to give the syntax to my formula. So I've given the range E3 to E20 to add up. Now just press enter and you'll have the sum. So basically sum function, what sum function did, it summarizes all the values in a range. Now next function is count. The use of count is to calculate the numeric values present in a range. So I'll just apply and you'll have more understanding then. Equal to count, same, select the range and press enter. Now I have got 18 because there are 18 filled cells which are filled with numeric values. So count is going to count the cells which have numeric values present in them. So suppose if I change the range, I select the first value also, this cell E2. Now I'm going to press enter. The result is same 18 because this is a text value which count function is not going to recognize. So whenever you want to count the numeric value in a range, you can use the formula count. Let me change this to E3 only. Next basic function is average. Average we all know is the total divided by the number of observation. So we have average formula equal to AVE. This is our formula. Same method would be there to select the range we want to get the average of and press enter. So this is our average. Also, we can verify. I told you average is equal to sum divided by the number of observation. So this was our sum and divided by the number of observation. This was our number of observation. So we are going to have the same number here. Next, so the basic function is max. So what max do? Max will give us the maximum value in the range we select. Suppose I want to know what is the maximum value in this range. So I can use the max function here. The function is simple and begins with equal to max. Press tab to start the function and select the range. So this is going to give me the 8000, which is the maximum value in this range. Here I can see. Same min. What min would do will give me the minimum value in the range. Again, we can start with equal to min. Select the range and press enter. So this is our minimum value. I can also verify from 129 here. Also, one thing to notice that all these formulas are very dynamic. Once I made a change to the input value, the output is going to change. Suppose I change the unit price from 5 to 10. So everything linked to this cell is going to change. So this is how basic 5 functions of MS Excel work. Suppose you need to quickly look at the sum of these numbers and you don't want to use the formula. What you can do, you can just select this range and see here at the bottom of the window. You will notice 5 basic functions always present here. So I can see the sum, maximum, minimum, numeric count, total count, and average of these numbers. In case you don't have these values, you can quickly bring them by right clicking here and checking on the formula you need to be present here. So I can see a lot of things present here. Whatever I'll put a check mark on, the thing would be present here. So this is how basically 5 functions work. So anyone has any doubt till now, because we have covered very basic thing.
No, sir.
Okay, good. So we'll be moving on to next section. So this was very basic because I need you guys to have some basic understanding of the basic formula. These are going to be utilized in the further sheets. So next, moving to text to column. This is something interesting. So suppose I have names here. I have like 14 names here. What I want to do, I want to extract first name here and last name here. And then I want to create an email ID which should be in this order. First name, last name @xyz.com, @abc.com. So we can, what we can use, we can basically have 3 types of method to do this. First is to use functions. Second is to use text to column. And the last one is to use flash fill. Now I'm going to show you all 3 methods one by one. The first method, which is function, is the most difficult method. And the last function, flash fill, is the most simplest method. So now let's have a look at the most difficult method, which is by using functions. So we have various functions in MS Excel that are known as text functions. So when I say text, it doesn't mean that it would work on text numbers only. It can work on numeric value, any special character, or anything. They are known as text function because they can use to format the shape or size of any cell. We have a function called left, equal to left.
Sir, I'm sorry to budge in, but I can't see your screen, sir.
Okay. Let me share again. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's
Okay.
visible.
Yes, now it's visible.
Okay, so what I want to extract first name and last name. I told that I have 3 ways to do this. The first is by using the Excel functions. The second is to text to column, and third is the flash fill. We are going to have a look at all these 3 functions. So we have a function in Excel called left. What left do? Suppose this function asks for 2 syntax. First is text. I select this text, comma. Second thing is this asks for number of character. How many character I want to fetch from the left side of this text. So if I count Andrew, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I can see there are 6 characters in Andrew. So if I press 6 here, what this function is going to do, going to fetch the 6 characters from the left.
Yes, sir.
But I
We
don't
can
want to
also
use
use right one as well.
yeah, we can use right one as well to fetch the 3 characters.
Yes.
But this is going to create some problem. Let me quickly apply right here. This is my text and 3 characters I want from here. So the first name is extracted. But instead of using formula, I could have manually written Andrew and Ty. That would have saved me a lot of time. If there was only one name, I could have done that. But we have multiple names, so I cannot write each name individually. This would take a lot of time for us. So instead, I use the formula in the first cell. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to double click here. What this function will do, this is automatically going to drag down. Same for the right. But the problem here with the function is that in Andrew, we know we have 6 characters. So we mentioned 6 in the number of character. But when we went to Ellie, we got 6 character, 5 characters of Ellie and then 1 space. Same with Elisa. Now look at Michael. We got only 6 characters from Michael, MICHAE. L is missing. So the function has not worked properly. Same with the right name. We have got only 3 characters from the right. So this is not going to be the correct approach to drag down. Instead, what I can do, I can use some of the common thing in this function to fetch the data. I can see that there is space in every name. Every first name and last name is distinguished by a space bar. So what I can do, I can just quickly use the space bar to get the number of characters which I want to fetch. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use one more function. I have one function which is known as find. Suppose I want to find the position of spacebar in this. I'll just put spacebar between double quotes here. Whenever I type anything manually inside the function, any text or any special character or any space, I have to put them between double quotes. Else function is not going to recognize them. So find text is what I'm going to find. I'm going to find space. So I put a space between double quotes, comma, within text. This asks for in which cell you want to find this space. I want to find the space in this position, in this particular cell, comma. Then this is start number. From which position you want to count? You want to start the count of the space bar. I want to count the position from the first alphabet only. So I'll just press 1 here. What I got 7. So if I count the position of space here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The space bar is present at the 7th position. So I have got the position of space bar. But if I drag down, I quickly got the position of space bar in each and every cell. But in this function, I entered 6, which was 1 less than the position of space. So what I can do here, after using find, I can subtract 1. So I got the proper position till which I want to fetch my first name. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace this 6 with the function here. So instead of manually placing 6 here, what I can do, I can use a formula find, which we just learned. We want to find space bar between this text, counting from position number 1, bracket close for find, and -1 to get the 1 position back. Now if I press enter now and drag down this to the last cell, I got the correct result. You can now clearly see that in all the cells we have correctly got the first name.
Sir, a question है.
Yes.
Sir, instead of writing manually, so can't we select the last column, last name on the column?
Okay, last
Like
name I manually put the formula.
No, sir, no, sir. In Andrew's column, yeah, in this element.
Okay,
Instead
in
of
this element
writing
you are saying
find,
that instead of writing find,
we can just select the next
Yes.
column. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would work. But what is going to be problem? I'm going to put my last name here. So the moment I put my last name here, this is going to be
Okay.
ending into a result, value error,
Okay, sir.
because this function cannot recognize tie as a position.
Okay.
So that is why I put the function inside that function. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So just gonna do it again. Comma 1 minus 1. This is my final result. Similarly, last name, fetching last name could take a lot of while for you the guys now. Instead, we can use something else which is very easier to do. So let me move to the second thing, which is text to column. Text to column is basically a tool in MS Excel which is used to delimit the two characters. I want to segregate these names. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select all the data which I want to segregate. So I selected this range. I'll go to data tab. Under data tab, I have an option called text to columns. I'll just click on this text to columns. Now this small window will open up. There are two things. First is delimited. The next is fixed width. Delimited is something which are separated by a common thing, a common character. Like in this case, all the names are bifurcated by a common character, which is space. So I'm going to use delimited in this case. Then I'll press next. Now I'll have to enter my delimiter. Delimiter is something which segregates the two names.
सर सर जो आप बता रहे हैं स्मॉल विंडो विल अपीयर सर ये इट इज नॉट शोन इन द
Okay, small window is not showing.
यस सर
Okay, then might be the case that Google Meet is not able to pick the pop-up windows.
सर आपने विंडो प्रेजेंट किया पूरी स्क्रीन प्रेजेंट किया
Okay, let me present this screen.
यस सर तो वो दिखा देंगे
Okay,
या सर और टेक्स्ट टू कॉलम का सर कुछ भी नहीं दिखा अभी तक
okay, कोई नहीं. Let me present my entire screen. So can you see the small window now?
नो सर नथिंग इज विजिबल
नो सर नथिंग
Wait. Now?
यस सर
यस
So can you see the small window now?
यस सर एवरीथिंग
Okay, so let me start from again. Start again. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to select the data which I want to segregate. Go to data tab. Then I have an option text to column. I'll click on this text to columns. This small pop-up window will appear. This has two options. First is delimited, then second is fixed width. We are going to work with delimited because we use delimited in case our names are segregated by a common character. So here we can see the names are segregated by spacebar only. So I can use delimited. Click on next. Now I need to enter the delimiter, the character which is distinguishing my first and last name. So I'll click on spacebar. The moment I click on spacebar, I can see a line here which has distinguished first name from the last name. Now I'm going to click on next. Under destination, I'll just select the cell from where I want to put my data. I'll select this cell and press finish. Press OK. So you can see how easy it was to get the first name and last name segregated using text to column function. Even if our data has some multiple delimiters. Suppose some of my names are segregated by dollar and some by spacebar. We can also do this segregation. Again, going to data, text to column, delimited. Now I'll choose spacebar and under other, I'll enter $sign. So you can see the line has been created to distinguish both the names. Click on next, give the destination where you want to paste your data and click on finish. So you can do it anyway. Now we have the third option, flash fill, which is easiest of the options. I'm going to delete this and bring this back to space. What I'll do, I'll manually enter one name here. I'll go under type the blank cell under Andrew, go to data tab, and you will see one option which is flash fill. Just click on this flash fill. All the names would be filled in the last column. Same with this thing. All the names would be filled till the last column. So this is one of the easiest way to fill the data in a fixed pattern. What flash fill does, it recognizes the pattern in the first cell. So it recognizes that it has to write Andrew here, then the name after the space here. So basically it has to write the names before the space and after the space. What flash fill will do, will recognize the pattern and it throughout the range. Clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving on to next step, I want to create an email ID. Email ID would be the first name, last name @abc.com. What I need to do, I need to combine these two things and then combine them with @abc.com. In order to combine two or more cells, I have one function in Excel called concatenate.
सर अगर इसको फ्लैश फिल करेंगे तो नहीं होगा?
Hash fill से भी हो जाएगा. We'll do that also. So first I want to let you know about the concatenate function. In some versions of the Excel, there would be concat, and in older versions of the Excel, there would be concatenate. Both are the same function. Both are same functions. Work exactly same. So this function asks for text 1, text 2, text 3, text 4, and up to infinity. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna press li, comma, this second text, comma. What I need at the last is @abc.com. So I'll manually enter abc.com between double quotes. @abc.com. Double quotes close, bracket close, and press enter. We have combined the first name, last name with abc.com, but the problem here is that the E and M are in caps. We want to make them in small. So what I'll do, I'll use one more formula which is lower. Let me show you here, equal to lower. Ask for just one thing, any text. If I select this text, this is going to be in small case. So lower, what lower does, it automatically lowers the entire cell. Using it here, I'll use a lower function outside concatenate. And I'll press a close bracket here to end the lower function. I'll just press enter and you can see the name has been combined with abc.com in all short forms. Just double click here to fill up to the last cell. Also, we can do this using flash fill. I'll need to manually enter the first value.
Sir,
Yes.
I have one question.
Yes.
If we'll take concatenate first and then within brackets we'll take lower, then also will give the same output.
Yeah, but in that case, you have to use lower 2 times. Like I'll show you. This is my concatenate function. This is my text 1. Instead of selecting text 1, what I'll do, I'll just use a lower function here and then text. So this Andrew would be converted into small case using this lower function.
So for the particular cell, we'll take lower for both the cells, right?
Yeah. Again, in this case, I'm going to use one more lower here. Then
okay, one lower will not work.
No, one lower won't work. Lower, like suppose I'll show you. Just selected this name here. This is going to be Andrew TYE, T is caps.
Okay, the second cell remains the same.
Second cell remains the same. Yeah. That is why instead of using this lower function more and again.
But if we do the bracket close, then also it will come the same result.
Yeah, then also it would be the same result. Instead, you can use lower one time just outside the main function. Whatever the result of concatenate is, that would be converted into lower if we use lower outside the concatenate, like this. So I can use flash fill here also, andrewtai@abc.com. I'll come here. Instead of pressing this flash fill, I can use the shortcut which is Control E. Just press Control E here. This is the shortcut Control E. So this is very useful function of MS Excel, which can come quite handy. We can even segregate more kind of things with this. Suppose like I have this data A, B, C, D. So you can see the pattern here. First I have some text, then I have some numeric values, and I want to segregate the text from the numeric values. What I can do, this would be almost impossible to do with the functions and formulas of MS Excel. So what I can do, I can use the flash fill here. I'll just pick the first thing manually. Come here and press Control E. Same, come here and press Control E. So you can see how easily the data has been classified in numeric value and text value. So this is very useful function, flash fill, and this I think this comes in all the Excel versions of after 2016. You won't be finding it in the older versions. So anyone has any doubt till here?
No, sir.
Oh, okay, good. So moving on to next thing. We have covered text to column, concat, flash fill. Now moving on to next functions, which are logical functions. So whenever you're going to work, whenever in any organization, whether you're working in the finance department, HR department, marketing department, doesn't matter. You are going to use 2-3 things quite oftenly. The first is logical functions, the second is reference functions, and the third is pivot table. So these 3 topics make up like 80% of the advanced Excel. So you should be paying a lot more focus on these topics because these are going to be very helpful in analyzing any kind of data. So moving into if function. Now I have some data. These are all the shares from the Nifty 500 index. This is the current price of the share. This is the 52-week high price of the share. This is the weekly change which share has given, means the change share has given in past 1 week. Now what we want to do, we have to initiate some buy or sell call here. One more thing I'm going to tell you. Suppose you get the data in this form. You can see the column and rows are not of proper height and proper width. So this is your data. Now you want to first arrange the data properly. What you can do, just click and grab the headers to fit the exact position, but that could be quite difficult because you have to manually adjust all the columns. What you can do, you can just double click here between the headers and it would automatically fit the columns. But this is also going to take a lot.
We can also stretch the column so that to show like this hash which are seen in the table. We can stretch the column and the value will be seen.
Yeah, value would be seen. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, but this could be one of the. This is not one of the best way to adjust the columns because you have to manually adjust all the columns. Instead, what you can do, just press select the entire sheet.
Oh, somebody's mic is on. So disturbance create हो रही है बहुत.
Can everyone please
Yeah.
switch to mute mode?
First of all, sorry to disturb. Pankaj, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Ashish Manchanda here. How
Yes,
are
sir,
you?
yes. I'm good, sir. How are you, sir?
I may request all the participants to kindly, unmute yourself only when you are supposed to ask the questions or you are having a trouble in understanding the things. Yeah, I just want to, tell you that the Pankaj has been a, I should say, one of the excellent student of MBA Financial Markets, and he is a brilliant resource. And you can learn lots of new things from Pankaj Goyal. He is an proud alumnus of University School of Management Studies. Pankaj, please go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you so much for your kind words, sir. Okay, so what I told you, it could be not one of the best way to manually adjust all the columns. Instead, what I can do, I can just press Control A to select the entire sheet and then click on any of the header. Just double click on any of the header. All the columns would be auto fit. Same with the rows. Select all the sheet and just double click on any row. All the rows would be automatically adjusted.
Sir, can you repeat? I haven't heard because of the disturbance earlier.
Yeah, sure. Suppose I have this kind of data. So you can see the data is not properly organized. Some column width are too much narrow and some are too much far. So what I can do, I will just press Control A to select the entire sheet and double click here. So what this will do, this will automatically make all the width proper. Same with the row, just double click here. This would automatically make the height proper for all the rows. Also, I have one more shortcut. Press Control A. Then on keyboard, press Alt HOI. So what I did, I just press Alt. What Alt will do, this would bring out all the shortcuts which are present in Microsoft Excel. Then I press H to go to Home tab. Then I press O to go to Format. Then I press I to auto fit column width. So in this way, all
Sir, but
the
इसमें
columns
rows तो fit नहीं हुआ ना?
row के लिए we have another shortcut which is Alt HOA. Alt HOA. Now you can see all my rows are automatically fitted. Anyway, if you don't remember the shortcut, you can just Control A to select all the sheet. Go to Home tab. Under Format, you can see the option Auto Fit Row Height and Auto Fit Column Width. So in this way, you can organize your data. Now coming to the main function, which is a logical function. So what I told you in the case that we have to initiate some buy or sell call. Let me give you some condition. If weekly price change is greater than 5%, if weekly price change is greater than 5%, then it should be a sell call. If it is smaller than 5%, then it should be, if weekly price is greater than 5%, then it should be a buy call. And if weekly price change is smaller than 5%, then it should be a sell call. So one of the most difficult way to do is to manually check the value and press buy or sell here. So this would be buy, this would be sell. But this is going to take us a lot of time. So instead of doing this, what we can do, we can use an Excel formula, which is if function. It begins from if. Checks whether a condition is met and returns one value if true and another value if false. So let me quickly start the formula. The function asks for three syntax. The first syntax is logical test. Logical test, when I say logical test could be anything, any mathematical operator, any arithmetic operator, any Excel function, it could be anything. So in this case, we are going to check the weekly change. So this particular cell F3 should be greater than or equal to 5%. So I'm going to write 5% here. So what the function will does, this will check for this condition. If this condition is true, if this cell is greater than 5%, then what we are going to have? We are going to have something which we write here. So in value if true, I'll write buy in double quotes. So I wrote a buy here, comma. What if this condition is false? If this cell is not greater than 5%, then the condition would be false. And we will have the value which is written in this syntax. So we'll write cell here. Bracket, close your bracket to end the formula and press enter. Now you can see the cell was greater than 5%. So we got a call of buy. Same double click to fill up to the last cell. You can see easily that whole our table has been filled. Just within a fraction of a second, we have completed the table. So this was very normal if function, very simple if function. If could be very complicated depending on the condition we are getting. Suppose I give you now, yeah.
So we can actually put colors through in this if function also.
Sorry.
We can, if you want, to color the text. I mean, to color the entire column. I mean,
Yeah,
cell.
yeah, we
in
can
it.
color also. Yeah,
So,
like based on the cell condition.
yes.
Yeah, so
Can you?
suppose we want to color the buy green and sell red.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, we can do that also. In that, what you have to do, just select the entire column. Okay, let me tell you one of the shortcut to select the entire range. I'll just click here. We have two buttons on a keyboard. One is shift and one is control. I'll press shift and click on down arrow. I'll just keep on pressing the down arrow. What shift does, shift basically select the data. I have another key which is control. If I press control and then click the down arrow, what this is going to do, this is going to take me to the last fill cell in that range. If I press control up, what this is going to do, this is going to take me to the last, to the topmost up fill cell. So I'll use both shift and control and then press the down arrow to select the entire range till the last fill cell. So in this way, I can easily select the entire range without dragging my mouse. Now I'll go to Home tab. Then in Conditional Formatting, we have first option, Highlight Cell Rules. Under that, I'll go to Equal To. Now if this is buy, I'll just press buy here and select the color green. Okay. Again, go to Conditional Formatting, Equal To, and click cell here. Let it be red fill and press OK. So in this way, you can easily colorize your cell based on some condition. This is known as conditional formatting. You are basically formatting your cell based on some condition. So this is also a pure dynamic. If I change the weekly rate to 4%, this is going to change into cell and with red color.
Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Now suppose I give you two more conditions. Okay, so we have also 52% of high week. Now I give you condition, a buy rating should be initiated only if we have 52% of week should be greater than 70 and weekly change should be greater than 5%. Else it should be a sell rating. So now instead of giving one condition, I have given you two conditions now. 52% percentage of 52 week high should be greater than 70% and weekly change should be greater than 5%. In that case, it would be a buy rating, else it would be a sell rating. So I need to categorize both my conditions here, need to incorporate both my conditions here. Now I have used the term and here. The percentage of 52 week high and weekly change, both should be satisfied, then only this would be a buy rating. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use AND function here. So we have one function in Excel called AND. This asks for various logical condition, logical test 1, logical test 2, and this goes up to infinity. So under logical test 1, what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this cell E3, which is percentage of 52 week high. This should be greater than 70%. So I'm going to enter 70% here. So I have given my first condition. I'll press comma Then move to second condition. My second condition is weekly change should be greater than 5. So I'll select weekly change. This particular cell F3, this should be greater than 5%. So we can actually give more conditions if we have. Since in this case we have only 2 conditions, I'm gonna end up here. Just close the bracket here. Now if I enter, what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna get true or false. So logical function basically works on true and false basis. If the condition is true, we get a true result, and if the condition is false, we got a false result. So if both the conditions are true, then only AND function is going to give us a true result. If any of the condition is false, we will get a false result. Like in this case, this is greater than 70, but this was not greater than 5. So we got a false here. So what I'm going to use this AND function inside the if function. So I'll just use equal to if bracket start. What I'm going to do instead of giving logical test, I'm going to use AND function now. Now I'll give my both condition. This cell should be greater than 70, comma, this cell should be greater than 5%. Since we have given both the condition for AND, I'm going to close the bracket for AND. Now the AND function is ended. We are moving to if function now, comma, value if true. What if both these values are true? What we are going to have? We are going to have by. So I'll press by here, comma. What if the condition is false? We'll get cell here. I'll write cell in double quotes and close the bracket. Just double click here to get the entire result. So you can see both my conditions are satisfied, and I'm getting the clear result on initiating any buy or sell. Also, you can colorize the cell based on some criteria going to conditional formatting.
सर एक बारी कंडीशनल फॉर्मेटिंग दिखा दोगे?
Sure.
Can you repeat again, sir?
Sorry. So shall I repeat this function again?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So I told you I have one AND function. What AND function does basically check for each and entire condition which we input here. So I'm going to enter 2 conditions here. The first condition is this particular rate, this should be greater than 70%, comma, this change should be greater than 5%. If both the conditions are satisfied, then only our result will be true. Else we are going to have a false result. So I'll press enter. Let me move this here. So you can see in this case, this is greater than 70, this is greater than 5. Both my conditions are satisfied. That is why I got a true result here. If I double click to fill up to the last fill cell, what I got a false here. This is smaller than 70, this is smaller than 5, false. I got a false here. This is greater than 70, but this is smaller than 5. This is not greater than 5. Both the conditions has to be satisfied for AND function to get a true result. Now what I'll do, I'll use this AND function inside an if function to get the buy and sell call. I'll use equal to if. Instead of giving logical condition, like in the first case, we have only one condition. So we did like this cell should be greater than 5. We cannot do this because we have 2 conditions here. What I'm going to use an AND function here. I'll check the logical one test, which is this cell should be greater than 70%, comma, this cell should be greater than 5%. Since we have given both the condition for AND, I'm going to close the bracket here, comma. If these conditions are true, so what we want buy call. So I'll just enter buy here. What if the condition is false? What I'm going to have sell here. So I'll just press sell here. Bracket close to complete the formula. And double click to fill up the entire cell. So in this way, you can use the AND formula. Now, in order to to format the cell based on some color, I'll use the conditional formatting. I'm just gonna select whole range, go to home tab, conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, and then go to equal to. If my cell is equal to by, then I'm going to have green color. Okay. Again, go to equal to. If my cell has cell, then I'm going to color it with a red color and press OK. So in this way, you can format the cells based on some conditions. Similarly, we have OR function. What OR function does, even if one of the condition is true, our result would be true. So let me quickly show you here. Equal to if, I'll use OR here. This is my first test. This should be greater than 70%, comma. This weekly change should be greater than 5%. We have two conditions, then close the bracket. If any of the condition is true, if even one of the condition is true, we'll get the value which is written in value if true. So we'll write by here and cell in value if false. Now you can see the difference between two values. Again, I'm going to just color to make them comparable. So you can clearly see the difference between two values. So like in this case, only one condition was true. We got a by initiate in OR function. But both the conditions were not true. So we got a cell initiation in this AND function. So this is how you can use AND and OR function inside an if function to basically evaluate various conditions. So is this clear to anyone, or anyone has still some doubt?
So clear, sir.
So now let's move to next case. Okay, so we have Countif, average if. Okay. So we have next sheet named Countif. Again, I have some data, same data, Nifty 500 shares, current price 52-week high, percentage of 52-week high, weekly change. And now I have an additional column called industry. So these are all my industry which I have. I have created a drop down here to select any industry. So first let's quickly have a look how to create this drop down. So this was my cell. What I have done in right of this sheet, I have written the industry names. These are all my industry which is present in this sheet. So what I have done, I have written the industry names here. Now click on this cell, go to data tab. You will see an option of data validation. So this small pop-up window will appear. Inside setting, in allow, you have to choose list because we are going to create a list. We need to give some source. The source would be the initial table which I have written here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the entire table and press OK. Now you can see an arrow has been made which contains all the lists which are provided in the source. So in the first sheet, we learned some basic functions, sum, count, average, maximum, minimum. So these were very basic functions which do not require any specific condition. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this function with some specific conditions. First of all, I'm going to pick the number of companies. Number of companies in this particular industry. So out of the total 500 companies, I want to check how many companies are falling under aerospace and defense industry. So what I have to do, I have to basically count based on some condition. So I'll be using a formula count if here. I'll have to count based on some condition. I'll use count if. If I have only one condition, I'll use count if. If I have multiple conditions, I'll use count ifs. So in this case, I have only one condition, I'll use count if. Now this function asks for two things. The first is range, the second is criteria. The range is the entire range. where our criteria lie. So suppose this was our criteria, aerospace and defense. You have to check where would this criteria fall, in which range this criteria would lie. So I can clearly see the criteria would lie somewhere in this range. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this entire range. So I've selected this range. Instead of selecting this table, what you can do, you can just click on the header. Just click on G column. This would automatically select all the column. Comma. Now I have to give the criteria. What is my criteria? Which thing should I be counting? I should be counting something written here, whatever written here in I4 cell. So I clicked on I4. Press OK. So I can see I have 3 companies in aerospace and defense department. So if I change this to automobile, I got 32. Let me quickly remove the decimal. So this is fully dynamic. So in this way, you can use the Countif function. So if you need to count anything based on some condition, you can use the Countif function. Next, we want to analyze the average weekly return of this particular industry. Now I have to average out the data. I have to average this weekly change range based on the condition that they should fall into construction and engineering industry only. So what I'm going to use average if function. So we have average if. Same, if we have one condition, we are going to use average if. If we have multiple condition, we will use average ifs. So we will use average if. Now this condition this function asks for 3 things. The first is the range. Range would be again same, this, where my criteria lie, comma. What is my criteria? Whatever written in this I4 cell is my criteria. So I selected this, comma, average range. So you have to select the range which you want to do the average of. So I know I want to average out the weekly change. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this particular range. Now remember these 2 ranges, this range and this 2 range, the number of rows in this 2 range should be equal. By equal, I mean you selected G from G here, but in average range, you selected this particular cell. So you are going to have into trouble, your formula won't work. So I'm going to select this entire range and press OK. So what I get, average month, let me change this to some decimal point. So this is 0.75% is the average weekly return from construction and engineering. So if we change this to electricity and utility, the percentage is changed.
Sir, you have selected wrong one.
Yeah, I've selected. Yeah,
it's F to F.
Now let me change this to percentage and to decimal. So here you can see, and you can actually analyze which industry has given a maximum return in this week and which industry has given low returns. So you can base your investment plannings based on this criteria. Like I can see here, state operations has given me an average return of 5% this week. Now I want to check what is the maximum weekly return I have got in any particular industry. So like a real estate operation has 11 companies. So out of those 11, the average is 5.06%. But what is the maximum return and what is the minimum return in this particular industry? So I want to check that. What I'll use max function with if. So I'll use max ifs. This now asks for maximum range. This is the range which I want to get the maximum value from. So I'll select weekly range here, comma, criteria range 1. Criteria range 1 is the range where my criteria lie. So this industry is my criteria range, comma, what is my criteria? This is my criteria, whatever written in I4. This is my criteria. I'll select this and press enter. Again, I'll convert this to percentage and to do decimal. So this is the maximum return. 14.87% is the maximum return I'm getting from any share in this real estate operation industry. Same, I can fetch the minimum return. I'll use the min ifs function here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to select the range from which I want to get the minimum value from this weekly change, comma, criteria one would be this industry, comma, this would be my criteria. Now again, I want to change this to percentage and then to decimal. Instead, what I'll use, I'll click on this cell, go to home tab. I have this paintbrush option, which is format painter. I'll click on this painter and drag here. So what this functions, what format painter do, basically copy and paste the format to this cell. So this is the minimum return I'm getting in this particular industry. So you can in this way analyze your data.
Sorry, free minus में हो सकता है minimum return.
हाँ बिल्कुल हो सकता है. The company is not performing well, has given. Suppose एक हफ्ते पहले the company का share was at 500 rupees. Now the share is trading at 400 rupees. The return is negative then, no? Now, moving to some advanced part. Number of companies above average. Okay, so like in software and IT services, I have 23 companies. This is the average weekly return, 6.40%. I want to check how many companies are trading or are giving me the return above the average. So I want to check that. What I'll use, I have to count. So I'll use count function here. Again, Countif. First of all, what I have to do, I have to give my range. Okay, no. In this case, I have two conditions. The first condition is the industry, and the second condition is above average. So what I'm going to use, I'm going to use count ifs function, IFS. This would first ask for criteria range 1. What is my first criteria range? This industry, comma. What is the criteria for this range? Whatever written in here, I4, the industry. So I give this, comma. What is my criteria range 2? So what is my criteria range 2? I want to check for the above average return. I want to check for the above average return. So I'll select this weekly change range, comma. Now I have to give the criteria. What would be my criteria? I have to give the average value here. The return should be greater than average. So what I'll use double quotes, greater than equal to double quotes close. I have given one indicator, one operator to compare. So, okay, so whatever I'm going to return here. So suppose this was my average return, 6.40%. I just wrote this manually. What is my criteria? Anything above or greater than 6.40%. But we cannot manually write 6.40% because this would be changed when we change our industry. So we have to make this dynamic by linking to this particular cell, to this J6 cell, J7 cell. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just use double quotes equal to, greater than equal to, double quotes close. Use and shift 7. I'll click shift 7 on my laptop to use the and operator. This is known as ampersand. Basically, this is used to combine one or more values. So I'll just combine this greater than equal to with this particular cell. So now condition would be anything written in this particular.
और हम यहाँ पे end use नहीं करेंगे तो क्या होगा?
वो ये pick नहीं कर पाएगा. This will be treated as text only. In order to combine and to make a reference, we have to use an and here. Now, the moment I press end, you can see this is in green color. If I do not enter end here, you can see this is simply black text. No linking has been assigned. So I have to use end here to link the cell with this particular operator.
सर ये लाइक मतलब जब हम फिक्स करनी होती है वैल्यूज तो यूज करते हैं ना
सर अगर हम इन्वर्टेड कॉमास में करेंगे
यूज डॉलर साइन
सर
लाइक जैसे डॉलर साइन यूज करते हैं वैसे यहाँ पे एंड यूज कर रहे हैं
नहीं डॉलर इज फॉर समथिंग एल्स विल बी कवरिंग दैट इन नेक्स्ट शीट्स and is basically okay, let me show you. So okay, suppose I have two things here. We learn concatenate. Concatenate is used to join the cells. The same is the use of AND. So suppose I write two names here, Pankaj Goyal. The first thing was to use concatenate. So I use concatenate this text, comma this text. My text was joined. The second could be to use AND function. So I just press equal to, select first cell, pick and select second cell. The result is same. AND operator is basically used to combine one or more values. So the same thing I did here. I use Countifs here. This was my criteria. Range 1, this is
तो हम
criteria.
greater than equal to और J7 सेल को combine कर रहे हैं basically.
बिल्कुल, yes, yes.
Okay.
सर वो पिक करेगा इन्वर्टेड कॉमर्स में ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू?
Sorry?
इन्वर्टेड कॉमर्स में आपने ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू डाला था, तो
Yes.
विल इट बी पिक्ड और नॉट?
Yeah, this would be picked.
सर एक क्वेश्चन है, अगर आप इन्वर्टेड कॉमर्स में इसको J7 को डालें तो
ये ऑपरेटर्स को इन्वर्टेड कोमा में ना लें, ऐसे लें.
नहीं सर, इन्वर्टेड कॉमा में ही आपको डालना है J7, तो ये हो जाएगा.
ठीक है. ओके, इक्वल ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू J7 आपने बोला. मैं क्लिक कर देता हूँ. J7 मैंने क्लिक किया. अब मैं इन्वर्टेड कॉमा बंद कर देता हूँ. Okay, you need to remember one thing. Whatever you return between double quotes in Excel formula, that is converted into a text. Okay, so this is now converted into a text. This is not a cell reference. This is a simple J7 text. So to avoid that, what I'll do, I'll just close the double quotes here and link this operator with J7 using AND, using ampersand. This AND is known as ampersand. So now you can clearly see J7 has been highlighted here. Okay. So both, I have given both my condition. I'll close the function here. So I can see I have 9 companies in software and IT services which are trading above average. Similarly, I can use the below operator to count the number of companies which are trading below the average price. This would be same Countifs. This would be my first condition. Criteria would be this, comma. Weekly change would be second range, comma. Now criteria would be smaller than, double quotes close, and this average value, whatever written here. And press enter. So I can see 14 are the companies which are trading below average, 9 are the companies which are trading above average, and if you do the total 23, that would be equal to the total number of companies here. So in this way, you can use Countif, some average, some formula to basically get some insight of your data. So any clear to everyone, or someone has some doubt?
So for the below average thing, we can also do the number of companies minus number of.
Yeah, we can absolutely do that also.
Yeah, okay, sir.
But the right approach would be to use this particular formula only.
Okay, sir.
Then
we can take sir less than equal to also in this.
Less than, no. Because I have given the equal to sign here.
Okay. What if I have like we haven't put equal to sign in the above average thing?
Okay, so like in that case, the value with exactly 5.06% return would be missed out, and that you could result into a case that your sum would not be 11.
So that can come under below average if we put equal to.
Yeah, if you put equal to here, that would cover in this below now.
Okay. So is there any other option that like equal to will come another in the another tab?
No, that basically depends on your criteria, what the criteria you want to follow.
Okay.
If you want to cover,
we can also use equal to in that case, only equal to.
Yeah, you can also use equal to in that case. The company giving exact same number of average return.
Okay.
So that basically
that will return 0. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Whatever is the condition you want to follow, you can follow by just changing the operator here.
Okay.
Okay. So this was this. This is very. These were very basic COUNTIF, average if, and COUNTIF function, which I told you. There are a lot of more things which these functions can do. So we are not going to cover them
Sir,
here because of time limitation. Yes.
sir, is there any difference between COUNTIF and COUNTIF?
Count if and count ifs.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, count if you is used to basically count if is used when we have only one condition. Like in this case, we have only one condition of industry. We want to check for this particular industry only. But in this case, we have more than one condition. We want to check for industry as well as the weekly change.
Okay, sir.
That is why we use count ifs here. Okay. So now moving on to our next sheet. So we have covered these logical functions, a small part of logical function, I would say. Now coming to the reference functions. Now basically reference functions are basically used when we want to refer out some value from another table or another workbook. So suppose in this particular sheet, I have this data. I have customer ID, name, gender, status, income, and children. I have another table which I currently have employee ID only. And for this particular ID, I want to get the name, gender, status, income, children, all of this. And I don't want to manually enter all the names. I want a dynamic function so that I, whenever I change the ID, my results are automatically updated. So in this case, Vlookup is the best use functions which we have. So we will use equal to Vlookup. V in Vlookup stands for vertical. This ID, this particular thing, this ID is our lookup value. Lookup value is something which we are looking for. If our lookup values are vertically, are lying vertically, like top to down or down to top, then we use Vlookup function. If our lookup values are present horizontally, like this left to right or right to left, we use HLOOKUP, which is horizontal lookup. So let me show you first Vlookup, how this works. I'll press Vlookup here. The function asks for 4 syntax. The first is the lookup value. Lookup value is something which you want to look for. I want to look for this particular ID which is present in this cell. To Vlookup, I want to look for this particular cell, I5. So I'll select this value, comma, table array. Table array is the entire array where we have our lookup value and the resultant values. So in this case, this is our entire table array. So I'm going to select this whole table. This would be our table array. Then comma, we have column index number. Column index number is something which we want to fetch. Like in this case, we want to have the name. Now you tell in this particular table, in which column do have the names?
Second column.
So
Yeah,
C
second
column.
Correct. Some of the student may tell that the name is present in third column, but that is the third column of the sheet. What I'm talking about is the table which I have selected. In this particular table, the name is present in the second column, and I want to get the name here. So what I'll do, I'll press 2 here. I'll input 2 here, comma. Then we have something range lookup. This has 2 types, approximate match and exact match. Now you can see that this kind of data, name, employee ID, phone number, this is gonna match exactly because name cannot be approximate or anything. So I'm gonna use exact here. For exact, we have false. Instead you select false, or you can simply write 0 here. 0 implement for false and 1 implement for true in MS Excel. So I'll just simply press 0 here, bracket close and enter. So if I check for E105, I got the correct name, J Irons here.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
सर व्हाट इफ वी मतलब अगर हम ट्रू मैच करें अप्रोक्सीमेट मैच तो उससे क्या होता है?
इसमें ट्रू से भी आ जाएगा, लेकिन
यहाँ तो आ जाएगा, मतलब ट्रू का मेरे को आज तक समझ नहीं आया. I used
I'll tell you in a while.
Okay.
Okay. So we got a, let me change this to 0. We got the name here. Now I again want to get the gender, status, income, children.
Sir, can you explain again why we have chosen 0?
Yeah, okay. Okay, do one thing. Okay, do one
सर
thing.
इसमें
Just
हम
cover
क्या
the
क्या कर रहे हैं सर,
approximation.
ये भी बता दीजिए सर प्लीज.
Then we will cover the approximation match. You will have a more clarity why we use 0 in the previous case. Just use 0 for now. Okay, now I want to get the gender. Now the one of the steps would be to again write the formula and then select all the things and then press enter. Then again for status I'll use the formula. Then for children, so I have to use the formula total 5 times. Instead of using that, what I can use, I can make this formula dynamic. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag this formula to the right, but not getting the correct results. Okay, so what I did here, I5 my lookup value was my lookup value, and this particular B1 to G21 was my lookup array. Now Excel basically works on referencing. What Vlookup formula does, it look I5, it looked for I5. It looked for I5 in the lookup value. When I move the formula here, what function does, it doesn't look for I5, it look for J5. This is known as relative reference. The function use the relative position of the inputs we are giving to it. So I use the formula in this particular J5 cell. I give the lookup value I5. So what VLOOKUP thought that I have to take the input from my immediate left. I have to take the input in lookup value from my immediate left, and I have to take the table array from my 2 left up to the 5 left. So this is how function basically takes the referencing from position. Now the moment I shifted this formula to here, what this formula does, what VLOOKUP does, that it initiated that in lookup value I have to take my immediate left value, which is this J ions, and then table array. So I have to move from my 3 left up to 5 left and then select that table. So you can see the position of table is now shifted. So this is not the correct way. What we are going to do, we are going to fix some positions. We know that our table is going to be fixed. We don't want our table to be changed. What I'll do, I'll just select this data and press F4 key on my keyboard. What this will do, this will mark some dollar sign against the rows and column. Whenever you see a dollar sign, you means that means that you have fixed the position of the table. You have fixed the position of that particular column and that particular row. So in this case, I have fixed the entire table. Same for VLOOKUP value, same for lookup value. What I'm going to do, I'm going to press F4 here. This will log the email ID. So whenever I drag the formula, now look, this is my email ID. I'm going to press this again. So I'm going to drag this now. Yeah, correct. So when I move here, you can see email ID is fixed and the table is fixed. But still we have one problem. We are getting J irons in every name because the column index is something which we put manually, which is 2. So it will be pulling second column for the entire formula. What I want to do, I want to get 2 for name, 3 for gender, 4 for status, 5 for income, and 6 for children. I want to do this. So what I'll do, I'll just manually put some number here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now what I'm going to do, instead of selecting this 2, I'll select this particular column because we have 2 written here. Press enter and now drag the formula. You will get the correct result. Now in order to hide this thing, you can just convert this to white text so you don't see the numbers here.
Sir, can't we select the whole column instead of 2?
No, we can't select the whole column. This is one of the limitations in VLOOKUP. We have to manually give the column index number.
सर आपने हाइड कैसे किया था?
ये मैंने I selected this cell and changed the font color to white.
Okay, sir.
So this is so basically we have two limitations in VLOOKUP function. The first limitation is that this lookup value should be in the leftmost column of the table array. Should be in the leftmost column of the table array. If I had the case like my lookup value is present in C column and my name was in B column, then VLOOKUP function is not going to work. The second limitation is that every time I have to give the column index number, or I have to make some way, like I make in this, I manually entered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then selected the linking here. So these are basically two of the limitations which VLOOKUP have. Okay, so now coming to that approximation match. Suppose I have one more table. Let me make some table. 100, 200, 500. These are suppose my sales amount, and this is my discount. Suppose if I made a sale of 100%, I got a discount of 2%. If I made a sale of 200 and got a discount of 5%, similarly 10%, 15%, and then 20%. So this is my table. What I'm going to do, I'm going to so in this table you can see if you sell 100, make a sale of $100, you get a discount of 2%. Similarly, if you make a sale of 500 or more, you get a discount of 20%. Now suppose my sale is 150 and I use a VLOOKUP function here to get the discount value for this particular sale amount. I'll use VLOOKUP. This is my lookup value, comma, this is my table array, comma, I need discount which is in second column. I'll press 2, comma. What if I use exact here? I press 0 and bracket closed. I'm not going to have some value because I asked for the exact match. If 150 is present in this lookup value, then I'll get a result. Else I'll get the error as not available. So in this particular case, instead of using 0, I'll have to use 1. That is approximation match. The moment I use 1, I get my result, which is 2%. What if I use the value greater than 500? Suppose 600. I get the result. In between these value, I'll still got the result. But what if I use the value which is smaller than 10, which is smaller than 100?
सर फिर एरर नहीं हो जाएगा? जैसे अगर मान लो हमारी वैल्यूज हम चाह रहे हैं प्रेडिक्ट करना, तो ये वही सेम शो कर रहा है. ऐसे मान लो 150 के लिए भी इसने 2% शो किया.
हाँ बिल्कुल, अब मैं वही बता रहा हूँ कैसे काम करता है VLOOKUP इसमें. देखो, जब मैंने 500 से बड़ा डाला, सपोज मैंने डाल दिया 658. 658 is not present in this table, but we are getting some value 20%. Now I enter 50. 50 is also not present in this table, but I'm getting an error. What approximation does? Approximation basically matches for the nearest smallest match. Approximation matches for the nearest smallest match. When I entered 600 here, so you tell me what is the nearest smallest value for 600 here? 500 is the nearest value against 600. So we get this result. Suppose I enter 199. 199 instead of getting 5%, I got 2%. Because the closest value for 199 is 200. But approximation looks for the nearest closest match. Nearest smallest match. What is the nearest smallest match for 199 in this table is 100. So we get the value corresponding to 100, which is 2%. Similarly, if I enter 50 here, but I can see in this table, there is no smallest match for 50. That is why the formula has resulted into an error.
Sir, if we take exact match of 199, then it will give us 5%, right?
Exact match of 199. No, that would give you an error, NA. Because 199 is not present in this table.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
in
in
the
that,
like another table we have like it depends on the employee ID on the above table.
yeah, employee ID would be matching exactly because you can't have employee ID between these two values.
Okay.
That would something which would match exactly, name which would match exactly with the employee ID. That is why we used exact here there.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so we are getting this error NA. Now I don't want this to be into an error. Whenever there is no discount, I want this function to highlight no discount. Okay, what I can use outside this VLOOKUP function, we have one function if error. I'll use if error. If error asks for two things: value if error. In value, I'll give this entire formula, this VLOOKUP formula, comma. What if this VLOOKUP formula results into an error? What value do we get? We will need no discount. So I'll enter no discount within brackets here. Now you can see the result. For 50, I have no discount. And for any other value which lies between the table, I'll get the discount amount. So in this way, you can neglect the NA error in your formula by using if error function. This is one of the most important topic which is used very frequently in corporates. If error function. Clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now let's move to the next sheet, which is some advanced part from VLOOKUP. Now VLOOKUP has two limitations we saw. The lookup value has to be in the leftmost column and we have to manually enter the column index number. Now we want to avoid this thing. What we can use index and match function. Index and match are basically two different functions which are oftenly used together to give us some insight to our data. Now first let's individually understand what these functions are. I have this table. Let me hide this thing. I have this table here. We have some name in these rows and some month in the columns. Each name has some value for the particular month. So like now, eMonet has a score of 33 in February and 42 in June. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you the match function. I'm just going to show you match function. This first basically asks for a lookup value. Lookup value is something which we are looking for. Suppose I'm looking for this A bird. I'll select this A bird, comma. Lookup array. What is my lookup array? Lookup array is something where my lookup value will fall. I know A bird is somewhere in this range. This is my A bird. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this entire range, comma. Same match type would be either exact or less than or greater than. So I'm going to use exact here because name is going to match exactly. So I'll just press 0 here. So I got 6. Why 6? If I count the position of A bird in this table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got 6 here. Similarly, if I change the name, suppose eMonet, I got 2 here. Why? Because the position of eMonet in this table is at the second position. So I got 2 here. So what match function does, match function basically tells me the position of lookup value in a particular array. Same we can use the match function in horizontal way. So if I use match for this fab, comma, this is my lookup array, comma 0. So you can see the position of fab in this table array is 2. So I got a 2. If I change this to April, I got a 4 because in this particular table array, the April is at 4th position. So this was my simple match function. Clear to everyone, match?
Yes, sir.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to again apply this, comma 0, and for this also, this was my month, comma this, comma 0. Now we have one more function, index. Okay, now let me apply this first. Equal to index This function has basically two forms. Till now, we read the functions which have only one kind of syntax. This function has two kind of syntax, basically two form. First is array form and the second is reference form. We are going to cover a bit of array form in our session today. So array is something from which we want our result. So I have in this case, like I want the score for E-Monet in the month of April. I want the score of E-Monet in the month of April. That is basically 33. So I want the result 33. In the array, what I'm going to select, I'm going to select the entire output. So this score is my output. In this particular case, E-Monet is my input. This month is my input, which I've done here. These scores are my output. So what I did, I selected the entire array, entire output in my array, comma. Now this asks for row number. From which row you want the result. Suppose E-Monet is in second row. I manually entered 2 here, comma. From which, in this second row, from which column you want the result? I want the result of April. April is in 4th column. So I did enter 4 here. Now press OK. What I've got 33. So what basically index function does, index function basically gives us the value from the intersection of this row number and this column number. So I selected this second row and this 4th column in this particular table. So in this particular table, second row, 4th column give me the intersection value of 33. So this is my result 33. Now if I change the position here, name here, my result is not going to change because I have manually entered 2 and 4, manually entered row number and column number. Instead that, what I can use, I can simply give this as row number, comma, this as my column number. Now press enter. Now if I change the name, my result is going to change. So if we can verify, as Batista in the month of April got 25, yeah, she got 25. So what I did, I used the match function here. I used the index function here and then linked these two values in the index function. Instead, we have one more way. What I can use, I'll select this array, comma. Now, instead of giving this linking, this particular cell, I can apply whole match function here. I'll find this in this range, comma, for an exact match, bracket close. Again, for column, we'll again use one more match function. This is my lookup value, comma, we are going to find this here, comma, 0. Bracket close for match and then second bracket close for index. Now press enter. We are going to have the same result. So this is how you can use match and index function. Now you don't have to give the column number. It's not necessary that your lookup value has to be in the leftmost column. It could be anywhere, wherever you want it to be present. So clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So I have one sheet here. You can basically use this as your practice. So basically this is the ID present here and you have to pick out the income for this ID. So what you can do, you can apply match and index function here to get the correct value. So now let's move to our next. Now let's move to our next function, which is pivot table. So in this table, you can see we have some data. The first column is customer ID, then customer name. Then we have some category name, year, quantity, unit price, and total sales. Now, let's check out the category name. We have supermarket, we have novelty shop, we have computer shop, and we have gift stores, corporate. So we have basically 5 or 6 types of category name here. Now, if I ask you that I need a total of all the revenue from supermarket, I need a total of all the sales from supermarket. How you are going to get that?
So SUMIF.
Yeah, we can use SUMIF. I'll use equal to SUMIF. What is my range? This is my range, comma. What is my criteria? My criteria is supermarket. Either I can type the supermarket in double quotes, or I can simply select this supermarket wherever I have written supermarket, comma. Sum range. What is my sum range? The range which I would to add up. So I'll select this G and press enter. So this is my data. This is a very huge data. If I go at the bottom, so almost 1 lakh rows. I can see that this is the total for my supermarket. Again, I want to have the count of novelty, the sum of novelty shop. You will have to again use this formula. If I ask you what is the total count of supermarket, you have to use Countif function. So that could take a lot of time for you to do. Instead, what we can do, we can convert this entire table into pivot table. What is pivot table? Pivot table is basically an advanced analysis tool in Excel, which basically comprise my entire sheet into a single small table. So we'll use and you will get more familiarity with it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to select my entire table. I'll just click on anywhere in the table and press Control A. By pressing Control A one time, my entire table would be selected. I'll go to data, insert. Under insert, I have the first option, pivot table. I'll select the pivot table here. Okay. Now, let me do it again. Control A, pivot table. So now, first we have to select a table or range. Since we have already pressed Control A, this is our entire data is selected. This is showing a name sales data because I have converted this table into this range into a table. So I gave the table a name sales data. So that is why this is showing sales data here. Now choose where you want the pivot table to be placed. You have two options, new worksheet or somewhere in this existing worksheet. Let's create this pivot table in a new worksheet. Just click on new worksheet and press OK. So we'll be moved to a new sheet where we have two things. In the left side, we have our pivot table, and in the right side, we have our fields. In the upper field, you can see all the headers from our table. So if I go back to our table, so if I check the headers here, customer ID, customer name, category, year, quantity, sales, etc. Now, if I move here, you can see the same headers present here. What pivot table does, this tool automatically picks up all the headers. Then we have 4 quadrants in the bottom. What I'm going to do, I'm going to check the revenue for each category. You can see last quadrant as values. Values basically take anything which is in numeric value. So suppose I'm going to analyze for the total sales. What I'll do, I'll just pick the total sales and drag here. What you will see in the left side, a table has been created. This is my pivot table, which gives me the sum of all the sales. Now suppose I want to categorize them via category name. What I'll do, I'll move this category name into rows. You can see now, computer store has these many sales, corporate these, supermarket these, data, all these. The first column is customer ID, then customer name. Then we have click of a button, you can see the total sales category wise. If you want to see the sales year wise, what I'll do, I'll just pick the year and put them in column. What you can see, the sales in 2017, the sales in 2018, and the total sales. So this makes my data very appealing to the eyes. Similarly, I can move the year to filter. On moving to filter, I got 2 arrows up in the upper side. If I want to check the data for 2017 only, I'll just select 2017 and press OK. So this is my data for 2017 only. This is for 2018 only. So in this way, you can filter out the data or filter out whatever you want to have. Same, you want to check the data by customer name. I'll just drag out the customer ID and put the customer names here. So this is my data categorized by customer name. So this particular customer Akriti by Ruju has these many sales. So in this way, you can easily analyze your data. So initial data was of 1 lakh rows. Now you can see that customerized our data has been organized into just 235 rows. So you can play with this table in whatever way you would like to. So is this clear to everyone? This was one of the very basic
Yes, sir.
we have created.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now moving on to, okay, so we have pivot charts as well. Okay, let's work on pivot, one of the pivot chart. So this was our table categorized by category name. Now suppose I want to create a chart, a small chart for this. What I'll do, I'll just click anywhere on the table, go to pivot table analyze, and here I can see an option pivot charts. I'll click on this chart, and let's suppose make a column chart for this. Press OK. So pivot chart is basically different from the normal charts which we create in a way because these charts have some filters in them. So suppose I want to get the data for 2017 only. So this chart would be shifted for 2017 for all. Similarly for category name, if I want to show a particular category only, I'll have this one bar only present in the chart. So in this way, you can create pivot charts. So these charts are dynamic with and changes with the table. Any doubt anyone till now?
No, sir, it's clear.
So now moving on to our next and last topic for today, that is the chart. So we are going to cover 3-4 types of chart: column, stack, share price, whatever. Okay. So now let's move to the first file. First of the chart, that is column chart and line chart. So what we have here, we have some data for a company, from a company. We have revenue. These are basically millions, and we have EBITDA margin. And we want to plot a column chart of this data. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to get the column chart only. So what I'm going to do, I'll select this data from here to revenue, go to insert, and we have some charts here and some recommended charts here. I'll just press on recommended charts. What Excel will do, Excel will automatically give me some recommendations, which could be the best fit charts for this kind of data. But instead I'll go to all charts and select column here. In column, you can select whatever chart you want. Suppose I want to create this simple column chart. I'll press OK. So this is my chart. But this is the normal chart. Usually in corporates, we do not create these kinds of charts. So I'm going to show you what kind of chart do we create in corporates. What I'm going to do, I'll just press right click here and format chart area. Under format chart area, I'll fill as no fill and border as no line. So what this does, this basically makes my chart transparent now. So I can use this chart on any presentation now, so that my background is still visible in the background, in the PPT. Next thing, what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove these grid lines. So I'll just click on the grid lines and press delete. Next thing is I can add some data labels on this chart. Just click on the chart, go to plus sign here, and you'll see an option data label. I'll just press data label here. Now there is some repetition of the data. I have axis as well and I have data label as well. We usually prefer to keep only one thing. Either we keep the axis or we keep the data label. So let's suppose we keep the data label because this is giving me the exact value of each bar. So I'll have to remove this axis from here. Now to remove the axis, click on this axis, right click, go to format axis, and basically here we see four options: axis option, tick mark, label, number. So I'll go to label and change the label position from next to axis to none. So my axis is now removed. Now I'll work with the x-axis present here. I'll click on the x-axis again. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to tick mark and change the major type to outside. Also, you can change the colors from the fill option. So let me change the color of line to red. So now you can see that the chart looks more professional now. Let's change the font color also to black. So basically chart looks very much better now. Now the only problem with the chart is that there is a lot of width between two charts. So in order to reduce that, I'll just click on the bar, right click, format data series. Now we can see an option of gap width. By reducing the gap width, you can actually reduce the width between the two bars. So this is how I can reduce the width between the two bars to make to fill out the more space here. So in this way, you can create a professional column chart. Now what I want to do, I want to add one line of the EBITDA margin. So like for 2016, we have EBITDA margin of 15%, of 2020, we have EBITDA margin of 22%. The company want to see how the EBITDA margin is moving against their revenue. What I'm going to do, just click on the chart, right click and select data. What I'll do, now you can see the data present here. The revenue data is already present here. I want to add the EBITDA margin. So I'll just click on add. I want to give a series name. This EBITDA margin would be my series name. And these values would be my series values. So I selected these values in series values. Press OK. Now against the, in edit, I'll again give these years. So now you can see for revenue, I have same years. For EBITDA margin, I have same years. Press OK. Now the problem is that 95 is way too more compared to 15. And these both kind of charts are now column charts. I'll just change this second column chart to line chart. So right click and select on change chart type. Go to combo and here you can see that the EBITDA margin is a line. Oh, okay, it's already line chart. So I select this, but we are showing no value because both the charts are on the same axis. So you can easily compare 95 is way much more than 15. So 15 would be almost zero compared to this value. So what we will do, we will move this EBITDA margin to a secondary axis. So I created a secondary axis on the right side for this EBITDA margin to basically see how the line is moving. So here you can see how the line is moving against the EBITDA margin. Now to change the label, I think that labels are overlapping. So you can manually adjust. Or what I can do, I can change the labels of the bar chart. Go to data label option, more option, and inside base. You just need to position them manually on data label and above. Yeah, so this is how you can create basically a column and a line chart comparing two values, revenue with EBITDA. Also, we want to remove the secondary axis, just right click, format axis, go to label and none. So both our axes are removed, and this is how we create a professional chart, which is used for various presentations and research report materials. So clear to everyone this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, pretty much.
Okay, so now I have another data and I want to create a similar chart for this data. Now to create another chart and making the same formatting could take us a lot of time. Instead, what I'll do, I'll just copy this chart and paste here. Now I can see that the selected data is in the upper table. I'll just click on the edge and move this to the lower table. And this is how, and I'll add the data labels again. For charts also, I'll add the data labels above. So within a click, my new chart has been created. So this is how you can just copy paste the chart to insert the different values. Yeah.
Sir, is there any shortcut to kind of copy the format of previous chart?
No, actually, you cannot format the chart.
Okay, sir.
You just have to copy and paste the chart and then select the values again. Now, suppose you got another data of 2021. Okay, suppose this is 95 and EBITDA margin is 18%. Now, I want to incorporate this new data in this particular chart without making any adjustment or without much of a tussle. So what I can do, I'll just select the chart and click on the right bottom of the data and increase this to capture the new data. So now you can see the latest data has been incorporated with keeping the formatting same. Similarly, if you want to remove any data, you can just remove the data from here.
सर वी हैव टू ऑलवेज ड्रैगिंग इट मतलब
Sorry?
कोई आसान सा कुछ नहीं है इसके रिलेटेबल
आसान तो फिर वही होता है, या तो आप यू गो टू सिलेक्ट डेटा एंड सिलेक्ट द रेंज फ्रॉम हियर.
अच्छा
तो यहाँ से यू सिलेक्ट द रेंज और चेंज द रेंज.
इट्स क्वाइट डिफिकल्ट.
Yeah, but this dragging is the most visible thing which we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need to create 10 charts for the same kind of table. So we format one chart in very good manner like this, and then just copy paste and drag the data. Okay,
Okay,
so
sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so now moving on to the next chart. Next chart, which is very much used in corporate, is the stack chart. So stack chart basically does what? Give us a comparable value. Basically, when you have a value in particular year, which are comprises of more than one thing. Like in the previous chart, we have only revenue for 2016. So only one column was created for revenue. This whole blue thing represents the revenue. But now, like in this case, for 2013, we have some data for crude oil production. There are some small holders which produce crude oil, some government estate produce crude oil, and some private estates produce crude oil. We want to analyze this data in a graphic way. So first of all, let me just add the total here. One of the way to add the total is to sum and select these three values. So this is going to give me the sum. Instead, what you can do, just select the entire data with the cells where you want to have the summation and press Alt equal to. You need to press Alt equal to this symbol on your keyboard. What this will do, automatically sum up the entire range. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a stack chart for this data, and then a line chart to show the total value of that particular year. So what I'll do, I'll just select this data from here to private estate. Go to insert, recommended charts, all charts, and under column chart, I can see this second option, stacked column chart. I'll just select one which I like good like this. I'll select this data and press OK. No, this is not the correct chart. Let me create it again. Index, insert recommended chart, all charts, stack chart, Yeah, this is the correct chart. Second one. Now you can see the light gray portion represent the private estates. This light blue portion represent the government estates, and this dark blue portion represents the production from smaller holders. So let's quickly just increase the size. I'll remove the data labels. I'll remove the access level, sorry, and then add the data labels. Make them white to look. So this is basically my stack chart. Stack chart basically gives me a comparison year on year how the values have been moving, how all the three values in a particular year have been moving. So I can see the production of like private estate in 2017, then government estate, then smallholders. Now what I want to get, I want to also get the total. I want to get the number which gives me the total of the crude oil production in that particular year. What I'm going to do, I'm going to add one more data here. So select data. I'll add one more data. Series name would be total and data would be this, the total which we have calculated, and press OK. For year, I'm going to select this particular year range. Now you can see the total, the another bar of total has been added, but I don't want it to be like this. I just want to be a dot with the number present here. So I'll just click on this bar, right click and go to change chart series type. Now under total, I'll change this to this stack line with marker and press OK. Now I can see the line present here. I'll click on the line and on the outline, I'll make it no outline. And for the data labels, I'll make it above. So now you can see you have the three values from the bars and the total values which makes up the total of the entire crude oil production in that particular year. So this is how you can create a stack chart and a line chart to show the total of the values. So this is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. So now next moving to next share price chart. Okay. So now we have some data of Nifty. The first column is date, the second is close price of the Nifty, and the third is volume. Let's change this close to price. We want to create a price volume chart for this Nifty. What I'll do, I'll select the data. Go to insert, recommended charts, all charts, and I'll go to combo. Now I have two variables. One is price and one is volume. For price, I want to have a line chart. So I'll select a line here. And for volume, I want to have a column chart. I selected a column. And you can also see that the volume, there would be a much difference in the volume because the Nifty is in a range of 17,000, 20,000, and volumes are in lakhs. So making them both on one particular scale won't be easy for us. So what I'll do, I'll select secondary axis for volume so that the right axis is for volume and the primary axis is for the price of the Nifty. I'll click OK. Let me take this to the up. So this is our chart. We can change the heading here. Now we want to format this chart into a more professional chart. Now the date here don't seem to be very attractive. I just want them to be month and year. What I'll do, I'll just go to format axis. Now I have here units of the, okay, now first go to number, and at the last you have the format code, in which format you want your date to appear here. So I want them to be in the month space y. So month in small and then year. I'll just add this. So you can see the date has been converted into month and year. Now I don't want them to be lying this vertically. I want them to be present horizontally. What I can do, I can change the axis from here. Instead of 1 month, what I can do, I can make them 4 months. Or maybe, yeah, what I can do, I can make them 4 months or 5 months, whatever seems feasible to you. Let's make it 4. Yeah, that would be good. So this is how you can change the x-axis of your table. Now these value don't seems to be very fine because these become very difficult to read. I get puzzled up if this is 20 lakh or 2 lakh or 2 crore. So what I can do, I can again make this format axis. Go to axis option, and here you can see display unit. Under display unit, I'll change them to millions. So what happens now? My units are changed into millions. So this is actually 2 million, 1.8 million, 1.6 million. So this becomes very easy for me now to read. Same I can do for price, but price usually we keep it like this only. So by making a few more adjustments to this chart, you can create a very good professional stock price chart. So this is clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so suppose now let me tell you one more thing. Suppose I have one share of Trident Limited. I want to see how this share has been moving in comparison to Nifty. Okay, so let me do one thing. I removed the volume from this chart and I want to add one more line chart of Trident. So what I'll do, I'll just select data, add, series name is this Trident, and series value would be this particular cell. That's okay, and then okay. Now you can see we saw a flat line for Trident and a variable line for Nifty. This is because of the difference in axis. Trident is in the range of 50 to 100, whereas Nifty is in the range of 10,000, 20,000. So this is not a good way to compare two charts. Instead, what we can do to make them comparable, we can make them comparable by by bringing them to same value. Okay, by when I say to bring them to same value, what I'm going to do, I'm going to convert Nifty and Trident both to 100. So let me just put some heading here. This is Nifty. This is Trident. What I'm going to do, I'm going to divide this price by this price only. This would give me 1. Now I'll multiply this price by 100. So what I have done, I have converted this initial price, which is the very first price of our data, into 100. Same I'll do for Trident. I'll select this price of Trident divided by this particular price only, multiply by 100. So what I have done, I have made them comparable. Both are now at 100, and as the time passes, we can see how these prices are moving against the value of 100. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to fix the second position by clicking on F4. Same with here, I'm going to freeze this by clicking with F4. Because I want to drag this and divide the each value by the first value only. So you can see every particular value in that row has been divided by the first value, the initial value, and then multiply by 100. Same for Trident. Now you can easily see the data is very much comparable in the range of 100. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to just bring Nifty here and add one more data for Trident. So add this data for Trident. and this would be my series. And for dates, I'm going to select this particular date set. Now you can see how the prices of Nifty and Trident has been moving since last 3 years. This makes the data very much comparable. Now because you have a base of 100, you can see that in particular day Nifty has reached from 100 to this particular value. This would be around 130, 140. But Trident has moved significantly up to around 450. So this is how you can compare the two charts or the two range which have very insignificant difference in the values. So this is clear to everyone, or has anyone some doubt?
Sir, it's clear.
Okay. Now moving on to
We could have, so can, I just had one
yeah,
question.
sure.
We could have done the similar thing which we did with volume over here also, right? Just in order to make them a little more readable and comparable,
Yeah, if we have only one chart, then we can do that.
right?
Yeah, basically volume we do not make them comparable because volume is something which drive the share price in most of the cases.
So the idea was, just in this specific case, if we would have allotted Trident a secondary access, wouldn't have it been a
No,
easier method?
no, that would have because I want to compare the two charts.
Okay,
I want to compare or when I make the trident on the secondary axis,
right.
right? So you won't be able to compare how the two stocks have been moving from the initial value.
Okay, got it.
That would just plot the values of the trident, but you won't be able to compare how two series are moving with each other.
Yeah, with respect to their initial values.
Yeah, with respect to their initial value.
Okay, got it, sir. Got it.
Okay, so I just make an assumption that at 2018, both the shares were at 100.
Right.
What are the present value today? So
Got it,
had
sir.
it
Got
been
it.
initially like 54 or 23,000, it would have been very difficult for me to compare.
Right.
Okay. The same thing we do in the balance in analyzing the companies. When we compare the companies, we compare the balance sheet or income statement of two companies. We make the comparable size statement by dividing all by comparing out all the percentages. Common size statement, which we basically call. This is the
Okay.
same thing. We just make the base same.
Right, sir.
Okay. So now moving on to the last chart in today's session, that is waterfall chart. So waterfall chart is basically a kind of chart which is most often used in calculating the or representing the income statement of any company. So you can see some values are coming, some are positive, which are inflow, some are negative, which are outflow. And then you have a total value, which is a combination of inflow and outflow. So we have revenue of 80 million. Then there are some cost of goods sold, which are 30 million. Then some selling general and administrative expenses of 30 million. The company have some other income of 20 million, depreciation and interest charge, amortization charge, interest charge, and then company has some tax refunds of 12 million. So by combining all this, we got the net income. We want to visualize them in a chart, how the values are moving, increasing or decreasing. So what we can do, just select all the data, go to insert, recommended charts, all charts. There you can see an option waterfall. Again, this won't be present in the older version of Excel, I guess, but below 2013, you won't be getting them. So what I'll do, I'll just select the waterfall chart here and press OK. So this is my chart. Let's press write income statement here as the title. Now you can see the dark blue cells, the dark blue bars are representing an increase, the light blue are representing a decrease, and the gray is representing a total. But we cannot see any gray here at the moment. Instead, this 35 was our net income, which was supposed to be the total and supposed to be shown in this particular gray color. So what I'll do, I'll just click on this last bar, right click and set as total. So now you can see, let me just remove the grid lines. Now you can see how the different thing in the income statement of a company is moving and giving us the total net income. So cost of revenue, core revenue was an increment. That is why in dark blue color, then we have a reduction of 30. We reached as this level. Again, a reduction of 30. We reached as this level. We get an income of 20. We moved above 20 and so on. We got to this total of 35. So this is basically how we create a bridge chart or cascade chart or waterfall chart. So by 3-4 names, this chart is known as. Whenever you have a series of data in which the last value is depending from an increment or decrement in the previous value, you can create a waterfall chart for this thing. So clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Very much, sir.
Okay, cool. So this much today we have in today's session. I think I must have been able to make you aware of what Excel is, what are the things we do in corporate, what are the most useful functions and features.
Right, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the most valuable part was the practical implications of all the functions. We have gotten through a little bit of. We have covered a couple of functions in our classes, but the practical implication was really helpful to understand how we are actually solving problems using these.